And we are very, very excited to welcome in Trevor Sikkema, right? Not Sikkema, Sikkema from PFF. You can follow him on Twitter at Tampa Bay Trey. First off, man, how'd we land on Tampa Bay Trey? We got to start there.
All right, so I'm from just south of the Tampa Bay area. I grew up watching Tampa sports. Shout out Devil Rays. I got the Devil Rays shirt on right now.
There you go.
When I started my career, I was covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I tried to make the Twitter handle. You've been here. You know how it is. When you're breaking in this industry, you got to hit the niche, right? You got to get people to come to the following. And so covered the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tampa Bay, right there in the handle, and then Trey, TRE. I feel like it rolled off the tongue, Tampa Bay Trey. And so I've just stuck with it ever since. It's kind of my alter ego when I click log on to Twitter, I guess.
That's fantastic because I feel like really we do all kind of change a little bit when you log into the twitter.com, right? You got to get a little spicier. Got to get in there and mix it up, get some takes out of the old back pocket. But
it's true.
When we found out we were having you on, I think for me, one of the real big things that I wanted to talk to you about was kind of just this crazy madness that is the AFC West right now. I think obviously all of us here in the building look at everything through silver and black colored glasses, and we obviously keep a really close eye going on the division. But if you could try, and I emphasize try, just to, from a national perspective, put into context how wild the past 6 months has been for this division.
No, it's been absolutely insane. Look, any college football fans out there, you understand the arms race that is the Big Ten and the SEC right now. Well, it feels like that's the AFC West is a combination of both of those things at a pro level concentrated into just 4 teams. I mean, it's nuts. When you look at what the Raiders did last year, how talented the team was, what the kind of playoff caliber roster they had, and then the fact that they added arguably the best wide receiver in football in Davante Adams, and arguably the best pass rusher over the last decade, outside of Aaron Donald, of course, in Chandler Jones. And then you still sit here and say this team might finish 4th in the division. That just has to give you a mindset of what has happened with these 4 teams, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Raiders. And it's truly just going to be a dogfight every single time we get a division matchup. No matter what team you root for in the NFL, anytime you get an interdivisional matchup any given week, you know that tempers are going to flare. Those are those little rivalries that you have. But in this division, it's going to be supercharged. It's going to feel like a playoff game every time the Raiders line up against any of the other 3 opponents that they have in the division. It's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be these two teams that you're seeing here could potentially be Super Bowl teams no matter what they're matched up against. And so it's wild, man. It's insane. The concentrated addition of talent, the arms race that was the AFC West this past offseason, I've never seen anything like it.
When you look at, and we talked about the arms race, and you look at what the Raiders have done, I think you did a great job mentioning the addition of Davante, Chandler Jones. I mean, the names go on and on. What the Chargers did with their defense, old friend Khalil Mack now in Southern California. I mean,
crazy.
What do you think, when you look objectively at all the moves that these 4 teams in the division made, what is the one move where you went, oh, wow, like this division is not playing around anymore?
Yeah, I point to the Chargers, and I think the Chargers, you mentioned them getting Khalil Mack and them signing J.C. Jackson, right? Everything they've done along the offensive line, especially I'll add, not just this offseason, but the last 2 offseasons. Because if you take it back 2 years ago, this is a team where you went, yeah, but they're never going to be anything if that offensive line is still as bad as it is. And they went out and they put serious resources, both draft capital and salary cap, into that offensive line. And they said, we are not going to let the trenches hold us back from being what the rest of our roster can become. And there are not a lot of organizations that attack trench needs the way that they did over the last 2 years. And so really just overall what the Chargers have been able to do. The Khalil Mack signing, I was just absolutely floored when they were able to get Khalil Mack and to think about what him and Joey Bosa are there. But really, I think it's just an organizational move and how aggressive the Chargers were. There was going out and upgrading and getting themselves Brandon Staley, making sure that they emphasize Justin Herbert as he is in his rookie contract window with that team, basically leaving no question marks. Certainly the talent was not going to be why this team did not achieve what they wanted to achieve while they had a young franchise quarterback on the roster. And so I think just really a culmination of a lot of those moves and how aggressive the Chargers have been over the last couple of years has been what's been most impressive to me.
You know, it's pretty wild to think about this. And for the record, I don't think that this is going to happen, but it's incredible to think that on paper anyways, one of the 4 teams in the AFC West could, in theory, lose all of their division games and objectively be a good football team. Like, that to me is like the most mind-boggling thing of the past 6 or so months about this division. It's just nuts.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. Like I said, it's truly an arms race. And I'm reading a lot about the Raiders and certainly preparing for this little talk that we're having here. And I read about these teams as we go into the offseason. I check a lot of the PFF grades and what people think. And like, hey, what do you believe this team is going to be? And I feel like it's just the default answer to have like, I guess I'll have the Raiders at fourth, but I can sit here and I can make you an argument that the Raiders are going to finish first, right? You look at what the Chiefs have been and how they're losing Tyreek Hill and how it's not exactly the same team. Travis Kelce's getting a little bit older. Can they lean on Patrick Mahomes in ways they haven't had to before? When you look at the Chargers, yes, there's a lot of talent on this team, but it's new talent. Is it going to be able to gel quick enough? Certainly everybody's excited about Russell Wilson going to the Denver Broncos, but again, change of scenery. Nathaniel Hackett being a new head coach there. What is that going to look like? Is he going to be able to hit the ground running? I can make you a case for the Raiders to also finish as the best team in this division. And a lot of people are saying, nah, like, I guess they're just fourth by default. And it is wild to me how you can come to so many different conclusions. And like you just said, whatever team finishes fourth in this division, I'm probably going to still think is worthy of a playoff spot in the end. I'm probably going to be looking at whoever finishes fourth in this division, and I might be looking at a division champion elsewhere in the AFC and think, yeah, I'd probably switch that fourth team in the AFC West with the team that maybe won a division elsewhere in that conference, which is crazy to think.
It is. I mean, it's such a unique time, I think, and it's really exciting for us here in the building, right? Because we have no shortage of storylines to follow. We have no shortage of things to talk about, to discuss as we kind of get through training camp and into the preseason here, this long preseason for the Las Vegas Raiders. But when you look at the addition of Davante Adams, right? Davante, the all-world everything, depending on who you ask and what your flavor is, either the best wide receiver in the game or the second or the third, whatever it is, an elite type guy. Take out the quarterback, right? What does Davante as a wide receiver do for an offense in general?
I mean, well, you'll tell you he impacts the game in every way possible because he is somebody who, when you're a defense, there's not many players in the NFL. The list is very small. You could probably count it on one hand or half of one hand, maybe only a couple of fingers, that would be able to hang with Davante Adams for an entire game the way that you would want to man to man. And if that's not the case, okay, well, now all of a sudden, now you've got to allocate other resources to him. Now you've always got to have a safety shaded over to his side. You've got to have somebody over the top so the corner can play a little bit more aggressive because we all know what an artist Davante Adams is when he's getting out of his stance, when he's coming off the line of scrimmage, his footwork, his initial separation. If you're a corner, you've got to be more aggressive in how you mirror him there. And a lot of times the way that Davante Adams has succeeded in the past is when you get more aggressive, that's when he will set you up to counter to get behind you. Then it's an even bigger chunk gain down the sideline or down the seam, wherever he happens to be lined up. So then all of a sudden, now you've always got to have the safety over top. Now you've always got to allocate extra resources there. How does that change the way that your defense is going in other directions when it comes to fitting the run, how much you're putting in the box, how you're going to use coverage on the other side of the field? Davante is he is a game changer for defenses. He is somebody that you have to make sure that you stop first and foremost, because there have been so many times when I have watched teams basically say, we're going to cover everybody else. And if Davante Adams happens to beat us by himself, fine. And you know what happened? The Packers won double-digit games every single year the last couple of years. And other teams figure, okay, we can't do that. We've got to adjust another way. So really, that's how I think that he changes the game. Is it's not just one body or one set of eyes that you have on him. It's everybody. It's linebackers who might be helping out in coverage. It's safeties who might be helping out in coverage. You're demanding defenses to rotate no matter where Davante Adams is. And that's just what makes him such a valuable asset, both with and without the ball.
You know, you brought up a great point earlier when you were saying you could essentially make an argument for any of the four teams in this division that, hey, they're going to win the AFC West in 2022. And I won't ask you to give the argument, give the pitch of why the Raiders are going to win the division this year, but if the Raiders are going to be successful this year, right, and I think that we all look at this as a team coming off of a playoff berth a year ago in the midst of an incredible season for a lot of reasons, but if the Raiders are going to be successful, go back to the postseason in 2022. Give me one thing that has to happen for them.
I mean, the offensive line's got to play as good as it can be, right? I think that's a big question mark for this team going in. You've got Colton Miller, but then it's a lot of other spots where you could look at guys and make a case for players, but it's not totally solidified like this guy, okay, this guy's going to dominate this position outside of what Miller has there. The offensive line, simply put, got to come together, and they got to be healthy too. Outside of that, that's the biggest thing, right? So many times I'll watch teams that go through these incredible playoff runs. sometimes it's not even the most talented team. It's just the team that is the healthiest at the time, that's been able to play together for the longest amount of time. So I think that this preseason is really, really important for the Raiders, because they've got to figure out what player along the offensive line is going to play where they're best. And then you've got to get reps with all 5 of those guys in there. That chemistry is paramount to success. And when you are playing in not just a division like the AFC West, but a conference that is loaded like the AFC, there's not an acclimation period. There's not going to be this like, okay, let's take the first 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season and let's figure it out. We'll be able to recover after that. You basically have to go perfect if you're not figuring it out at the beginning of the season. So a lot of people like to look at the preseason, like to look at training camp and say, hey, the preseason doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the regular season. The results don't matter. The reps certainly do. And I think that that's no more important than it is along the offensive line. And I think that if the O-line holds up, then all of a sudden you've got a big time recipe, not just with Adams, but with Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller, certainly Derek Carr. You've got a myriad of different running backs now that you could go to that's in that backfield. You have an offense that could be one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. The O-line's just got to hold up right in front of them.
And it's so funny you said it, because I think that's the exact sentiment that we've heard from the fans throughout the past 4 or 5 months. They look at all these fantastic shiny toys that Derek Carr has at his disposal, and they say, man, if this O-line, if the big boys up front can find the best 5, if we can get them together and playing consistently and playing at a high level for 15, 16, 17 weeks, like, all of a sudden, this gets really, really fun for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2022. But as you said, there's always an element of health, of luck, of making sure that your best 5 guys are ready to go for a majority of the season. Because we've seen it, here a lot the past couple of years, where you think you have your 5 and you feel good about it, and then week 2. You got to make wholesale changes because guys get hurt. It's the nature of the beast. It's unfortunate, but I'll be really excited to see, especially over these last couple games of the preseason, exactly what the Raiders do along the offensive line. But Trevor, I know that you guys are kind of locked in the PFF fortress during the regular season, but have we had a chance to get you out to Allegiant yet, man? When's that going to happen?
So I was in Allegiant for the East-West Shrine Bowl
when
we were in the offseason. So I got to be in the building, and one of the practices that they were holding was actually in the building, and most incredible stadium I've ever been in. Like, if there's any Raiders fans out there listening to this and y'all haven't made it to a home game yet, holy cow, you got to get out to it. I got to get out to it. I haven't been there for a regular season game. I would love to get out there for a regular season game, because even with the stadium completely empty, just getting to walk through it, both when you're looking at the field and when you're looking in the concourse and all that, just walking up to the stadium, unbelievably impressive. It's one of the most impressive stadiums I've ever been to. So I got to get out to a big Raiders game this year. I need to do it.
You do. I mean, you let us know when you come out. I was talking to your guy, Mike Renner, the other day, and he said he's going to try to come out for this Notre Dame game, which I think is in end of September, early October. But
it's quick here.
It's coming up. It's coming up quick, fast, in a hurry. But so we're going to try to get him out there for that. We got to get you out to a game because, like you said, man, I mean, it is an atmosphere that is really hard to describe. I think that it's we're coming off our first preseason game, or home preseason game, I should say, against the Vikings the other day, and that place was rocking for a preseason game in mid-August. The fans were there. They were bringing the juice. It was a lot of fun, and
oh man,
it's been a lot of fun for us to watch too.
A weekend trip to Vegas, twist my arm, please.
I know.
The only way you're going to be able to get. No, I'm kidding. It's such a great environment, and I got to get out to a game. I'm going to make it a big one too. I want to make it a big game, maybe even a divisional game like we're talking about here, because that's going to be a fun one.
That would be great. That would be a lot of fun. You let us know when you're out here. We'll take care of you. We'll do some fun stuff in the studio, and we'll have a blast. But Trevor, on our way out, man, give the people 30 seconds of plugs. Where can they find you and your work?
As we mentioned, on twitter.com @Tampa Bay Trey, not just covering Tampa, I'm actually covering the whole league for PFF. And then if you're a podcast person out there, NFL Stock Exchange, myself and Connor Roger from Bleacher Report, we're doing it 3 times a week during the season, having a lot of fun covering the league from top to bottom. So check us out there as well.
Love it. And got under in 30 seconds too, man. You went under. I think we got you in like 18 or something. What a pro. A pro's pro, Trevor Sikkema.
I've been told that brevity is wit, so I'm trying to get better at that as someone who likes to hear himself.
Oh man, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm trying to be brief, in and out, and hey, we got things to improve on though. But anyways, Trevor, it was so great to finally meet you, not in person, but in person-ish, right? I think we can say.
Listen, in 2022, this is basically in person at this point.
Yeah,
so
and I we've essentially gone to dinner now, right? I think you're actually the. I think legally speaking, if we do this once more, you're gonna be the godson to my future child somewhere down the line. So
look, I do think that's how it goes. Eddie, it was awesome to meet you, man. This is great talking to you. We'll have to do it again soon.
Absolutely. Tampa Bay Trey on Twitter. Follow him and all the good work that him and the entire group do at PFF. Trevor, thank you for hanging out, man. We appreciate you.
Of course, man. Anytime.